Welcome to the Shark Bite Show, where we dive into the stories of our members, coaches, friends, and family of Shark Bite Fitness and Nutrition. All right, let's roll. Hey guys, so the first 10 minutes or so of this podcast has some not quite great audio, but if you can get through those first 10 minutes, it gets much better after that. Sorry for the slip up. I'm going to choose to blame someone other than myself. Thanks. Alrighty, guys and girls, I am here with a bunch of the ladies from the Southwest Florida Sharks. I've got Jenna Riddle, Andrea Collier, and Valerie Gunning hanging out with us today. This is the first time we tried 4 different people on the podcast at once, and I'm not 100% sure it's going to work. We'll see how it goes. So first off, thank you, ladies, for joining me. My goal here is to kind of tell your individual stories, and we'll talk about some stuff about the season and how it's been going. So let's go round table. And I'm going to start off with Andrea, since you are the elder on the team, both in experience and age. Let's
experience and age. Yeah, I'm saying experience and age, so let's say that.
let's talk about maybe some fitness experiences, like what you guys had growing up, and then before you're on the team, and then also kind of what you guys do for work outside of fitness.
All right, so I've been on the team for 3 years. Every year Nick likes to use me very differently too, which is actually pretty comical. In my first year and my second year, I had a lot of different things that I told him I was pretty freaking bad at. And he's like, oh, really? Go do that thing. I'm like, bad at deadlifts. He's like, you're going to do 15 at like the heaviest weight that you can possibly think of. I'm like, oh, this is wonderful. This is going to be an amazing.
That's true. That's a true statement. Yeah.
It's going to be an amazing time on the grid league with me. So again, yeah, I've been on here for 3 years. My background is actually competitive cheerleading, and I did track and field. You would never be able to tell by looking at me because I am so not hamstring dominant. And did a lot of volleyball as well. And I don't know how those really interchange to like be a grid player, but I know for one thing, it was very easy for me to walk on my hands because of cheerleading. It was like a self-taught thing. I know. Jenna's
very jealous.
But I think the whole team sport portion of it, when we were in like a smaller co-ed division, kind of transferred over there because you're really reliant upon certain people to be able to do certain stunts in order for us to be able to make certain points. Kind of like Jenna and Valerie on the ladder, which I sit in the back. You guys are great. You guys are awesome. So yeah, that's kind of that's my background and kind of like how I think I can incorporate both of those two in there. And for work, I'm actually a behavior analyst for Collier County Public Schools. And I think that transfers over because I have patience with Nicholas. So, patience with kids with disabilities, which transfers to patience with Nicholas. We're gonna end on that.
So good.
I'm so glad I let you go first. Jenna, what about you?
Okay, what's up, guys? I'm Jenna Riddle. This is my first year on the Sharks. Finally.
We're gonna get into that. Don't worry.
Okay, sweet. And then my background is I grew up playing soccer. I also did ballet for like 10 years, which you also could not really tell. I was like the tall, awkward one they put in the back of the performances. But yeah, so I did ballet, and then I did soccer was like my main thing. I like went on competitively with that. And then I got recruited to play in college. I played for 2 D1 schools at the University of Arizona, and then transferred after my freshman year to the University of Nevada, Reno. And so I played there, and yeah, just when we were in season, we lifted. We did a lot of like speed and agility, and so sports has always been like a huge deal for me, and just competitiveness. So just after I was done, kind of like went through that whole like athlete being done depression thing of like becoming a normal person, like a NARP is what we call it.
That's a super real thing.
Yeah, totally. I was like trying to do my own thing for a little bit. Actually was like super against CrossFit for a while. just because like a lot of my friends in like the strength background are pretty against like, moving weights fast, and with bad form, I guess, or, like doing pull-ups, like the standard stuff you hear. So then I like finally gave in and tried CrossFit, and loved it. And it's been a huge part of my life ever since. And then, and now I'm here doing grid finally. And it's been super fun. And then, and then for work, super not related. I'm a graphic designer, a graphic/UI designer. So basically, like the gist of it is my department makes apps and then I design how they're gonna look and then design the advertising for them. So a little bit of like a split personality thing. Like get a break from the gym and then go like sit at my desk and design. So it's fun.
That's cool. And UI is like user interface, right?
Yes, exactly.
Cool. I think that's actually pretty healthy. Unlike Val and I, who are about to talk about just having a little bit of a split in the gym.
Everything about my life is completely balanced and healthy. I don't know why.
Oh man! And if you're not watching the video podcast, Val just sat there, all really staring at the wall.
She's envisioning what she's gonna say.
So Val, the most awkward member of our team. Let's go ahead and dive into some of your fitness background and then what you do for work.
I resent that a little bit, but it's fine. I think I'm the youngest person on the team too.
By a lot. Yeah. Well, you were
young. 23.
Oh, okay.
How old is Andrea?
Hannah was born in 97.
Who?
Hannah.
I always forget Hannah.
She's super young.
Yeah, she does.
Hannah Hardy at the CrossFit
Guys,
Games.
whatever this airs, we're recording it while Hannah is competing at the CrossFit Games.
And Andrea is repping her shirt.
Yeah,
Number one fan.
Hopefully we're talking about current CrossFit Games winner, Hannah Hardy, by the time this comes out. So Val, stop trying to push attention off yourself.
That's what I'm best at. Okay, anyways, I don't remember what the question was.
It's not surprising.
So guys, we're like 10 minutes into this. I warned everybody it's going to be a little bit of a hassle. This is going to be a rough one.
Oh, wait, for the background, got it.
Yeah, it's okay.
The water polo.
The same thing.
Yeah.
The water polo.
I didn't play water polo. I wish I did. That would be really cool.
Sorry. Deep breath here.
Okay. I grew up always in like a mosh posh of sports. I started in gymnastics when I was 3.5. I started in cheerleading when I was 3 because I thought that's what I wanted to do. And then got into a cheer class and saw the gymnastics class and I was like, no, that one. So then I ended up in gymnastics, fell in love with it, started doing it competitively at 8. And kind of hung on to that through the end of high school, but had some injuries and stuff in the middle of high school that made it like kind of hard. So didn't end up going on to college to do that, and I'm happy with that decision a lot. And played soccer growing up, played it in high school a little bit, but it was never my main sport, but I really enjoyed it. And when I got to college, I got recruited by the divers to do 1 meter and 3 meter springboard diving instead of gymnastics, which I thought would be a good idea at the time and got in there and it was not. I don't like water, so I don't know why I thought that was going to be a good idea.
I thought I really deep into it.
So I don't know why I thought I would be like okay with that, but got into it. And then when you flip to your feet for 14 years and then someone tells you to flip to your head into water, it's super weird and uncomfortable and I didn't want to do it. And also, water really hurts when you don't land in it correctly, which I did not land in it correctly a lot. So I was just not having a good time. Only did 1 season of that and realized that I enjoyed a lot more being in lift and being in the weight room than being at practice. And I was always excited for the days where we got to leave practice early to go to lift, and nobody else was excited about that. And so I was like, I think I'm in the wrong thing. So after that, joined our powerlifting club at Springfield College, which is where I went up to school in Massachusetts, and got into powerlifting a little bit, but always got a bunch of slack because I did everything really fast. And if anyone knows powerlifters, they don't move very fast. So I was doing these sessions that we were supposed to do in an hour and a half in like 25 minutes, and then just doing a bunch of extra stuff. So then after that, I got into weightlifting a little bit and just still kind of got bored with it. So everyone told me to do CrossFit. And now getting into it, I've only been in CrossFit about a year and a couple months now. So still pretty new to it, and figuring out my place as an athlete in the sport, but it's been really fun. So now I'm in grid because Nick harassed me into doing it, and I didn't think he was serious because well, I like I said, I've only been doing this like a year, and he was like, do this really cool high level thing with us, and I was like, I can't do that. And he was like, yes please. And I was like no. And I like really didn't think he was serious, and it was like 3 days before you had to like submit the roster, and he was like, can you please? And I was like, okay, fine. So that's how I ended up here, and now like fell in love with it. I could never even imagine liking it as much as I do, because I didn't know what to expect going into it. But we went to our first match, and I was just like overwhelmed, but in the best way possible. So it was really cool.
This episode of the Shark Bite Show is sponsored by Athletic Recovery Services. ARS is all about keeping athletes moving well and moving often. They specialize in athletic injury management, overall athletic well-being, and therapeutic massage. Check them out at athleticrecoveryservices.com. So if it feels a little jumpy,
it's kind of like our first match.
We just
that was good. Wow, coming from me makes
that's fair.
Good. Nice correlation.
Anyone listening, I messed up the audio a little bit. It should be going good now. You probably hear us a little bit better all of a sudden, and if you want to know why, that's why. So let's continue.
Getting the lean into the microphone.
Yeah, no, you were doing great.
We were getting into it.
I was hearing it real well. They weren't though.
Great.
So,
Yes.
So Val, you just gave a great story on your athletic background, and I'm not sure if anyone will be able to hear it, but we'll pretend that they did. What do you do now? What do you do for work now?
We're not going to talk about what I do for full-time work because that's super boring. But the more exciting part of what I do is coach at your Naples gym, Shark Bite Fitness and Nutrition Naples, and that is the part of my work that I really enjoy. So that's been cool because that's what I went to school for. And so my degree is in exercise science, and coming out of school, didn't really know what I wanted to do with it, and thought I explored like kind of all of my options with it. Did like the physical therapy route. I kind of like dabbled with OT route, worked with professional athletes, worked with kids, like a bunch of different things. And I just like wasn't finding my niche and wasn't enjoying the field at all. Like never wanted to do nutrition. So I was kind of like giving up on it a little bit. And then I like randomly came across you one day, and it just has worked out for the best.
Well, yeah, because remember, one of the things we connected on during your interview process was that we both have backgrounds in that, right? I'm an athletic trainer. She's an exercise science background. We both worked in PT routes. We both worked with professional and college athletes, and that stuff sucked.
They're the worst.
Yeah, that was so little fun. Like physical therapy was cool because we were helping people, but those people, a lot of them didn't really want to be helped. They were just there because it was part of an insurance process. And like, if you wanted to get money from somebody for a car accident, you had to, I don't know if I can legally say this, you had to lie about a bunch of stuff so that a doctor would send you to PT, and then you go to PT for X amount of days. And like, they had no interest in getting better or furthering whatever situations they had, but I remember telling you this, like I found my niche, and that's working with like adults, in cash-based business. And we definitely can't call what we do physical therapy, but what you do in a gym is just like that, and I remember I went to a course a long time ago with a physical therapist, and he said, I get to see 4 patients a day. You see 60 in a day if you coach a couple classes. We get to affect change so much more significantly that way. So it's cool to hear you say that, because we're 6 months into it now, and I'm glad that the fire is still there. So
yeah.
Is that how you guys met?
Yeah.
Like just through an interview, or did you already go to the gym?
Yeah, no, I literally it wasn't even face to face, because this was like pretty in COVID and everything too. Like he just called me, and then I went up to the Fort Myers gym later in that week, and then like did a workout, met in person. But it was pretty like, it was all like business based.
Yeah,
in the beginning
we did a 4-month internship, right?
Yeah,
where Val worked at our Cape and our Fort Myers gyms. It was a paid internship, but she worked at our 2 other gyms, and we got her to acclimate into kind of the Shark Bite way, and we got a lot of feedback on some of our long-term members. And I mean, it was pretty clear across the board that she was like made to work here. So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
What do you do for your full time? I'm sorry, I just need to know.
I'm a loan processor, like remotely for a mortgage firm, and they're like based out of North Carolina. So I just do a bunch of like boring computer stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know a lot of those people. So you're one of them.
Those people just keep calling me because I won't pay them. It's weird.
I haven't met any. So
All right, so back onto the Sharks, right? All three of you are in kind of like different areas of experience with the Sharks. So like Andrea, you've been on the team for 3 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Jenna, now that I've explained this word, you are grid adjacent. You've been around the team for about 4 years now.
Yes.
And then Val, like you've said, you're brand new to it, right?
Yeah.
What has your experience been so far? Well, first, actually, let's back up real quick. Like, how did you each get on the team?
oops, sorry. So I'll just start since we kind of
Yeah,
did this.
you go for it.
So I was living in Orlando for 10 years. I started CrossFit, I think 5 years ago. And I became pregnant and I had my son in Orlando, and the day he was born, this is not really relevant, but kind of.
I just like you said I became pregnant.
It was a magic
I
trick.
woke up one day
I'm a magician.
and
I'm
I had achieved
Immaculate
pregnancy. I don't.
Same.
Anyways, so I had my son, and the next day I moved back down to Fort Myers. And I started at CrossFit Estero, I think 3 months after I had my son. And I walked into the gym, like I'll never forget this, and hanging up were like that poster back there, a bunch of posters of people from my gym.
That was probably like Derek and Newton and Kevin, right?
Yep. And Haley. And I'm like, all of those people are people that I've seen work out, and they are so freaking amazing. They're great athletes, better athletes than that were at my last gym. And I'm like, what is this like Sharks thing? Why do they have uniforms on? Like, this doesn't look like a normal CrossFit thing. So I started working out more towards the afternoon time. This is a little manipulative, but it's okay. Because
She's playing her cards.
yeah, because Derek would work out in the afternoon or coach in the afternoon class, and then Newton would come in around 4:30. And so I would be there for a while working on skills that I had before my pregnancy and wanted to get my strength back. So I wanted to like build a relationship with them because one, they were cool people, and two, they're amazing athletes, and three, they had their faces up on the gym.
Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, Derek and Newton are awesome, especially Nudie. Like, he's not on the team anymore, but
Miss that
Newton is
guy.
maybe one of the nicest people I've ever met in my
Yeah.
life. So
I ended up being friends with Newton first and kind of asked him about the Sharks. He's like, oh, you'd be a great fit. And I'm like, you've literally like never seen me work out really. You see me doing some wall balls, and I don't see any pictures of wall balls up there. So
That doesn't look like a thing they do.
Yeah.
Jenna does them.
Yeah.
and then I like watched Derek. I'm like, God, that guy is so strong. And I'm over here like squat cleaning 180. It's like crashing down on me, and I'm barely standing it up. But that was, like I said, like 4 months after I had my son. So I built a relationship with Derek, and we were good friends, and we both talked about how I could possibly be on the Sharks, and that was to come to the combine.
Mhm.
I was super nervous. I remember the first day when I walked into the gym and I looked at, I think it was Alexis that was there, and I'm like, she's so in shape. Like, what am I doing here? And then Newton was there, and I've seen him do the double touches and the freestanding handstand push-ups, and those are two things that I just never really tried, never knew how to do. And I'm like, this is so out of my league. Like, what am I doing? And then Derek was like, just go. Like, we need ring muscle ups. We need ring muscle ups. We need, someone that can do handstand walking. And I'm like, all right. So I went, and I think I did chest to bar pull-ups, ripped, and then I had to go do ring muscle ups, and my hands were just so bloody. And I think you only made me do 3. You're like, that's enough. Just get down.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, thank God, because this hurts a lot. And I think I might have done like some box jump pistol thing as well. And both me and Alexis were there. I think we're the only 2 girls there.
Yeah, for that season.
Yeah, for that one.
Because that was the last combine we did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she was lifting the weights and I was not. And and then you offered us a spot on the team. And I have to say though, out of all 3 years, this is my favorite, and this is my favorite team, I think.
Yeah.
Because I'm here.
Yeah, for sure, both of you guys.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
For sure. But it's just, even though like if any of you guys have watched our first match, Like I performed like a piece of garbage. Like it was so bad. But our whole team was kind of like a disaster. And I had never been, our first 2 seasons weren't necessarily like that match specifically. And I'm like, oh, this is not good. And then we practiced, and then I got to know everyone at practice, and through our really stupid text messages. And I'm like, this team is full of talent, just great personalities, and so all hard work and driven, because everyone else also has real jobs outside of this, which is also kind of cool. We're not just all fitness people all day long. We have things to do. She's a mom, I'm a mom, you're a dog mom. That counts.
Doesn't it?
So I know it kind of went off, but to bring it back, like this is my favorite season. And even though the combine was, a couple years ago, like we just keep getting better talent without that, and I think that's awesome too.
Yeah, Jenna, I can't remember. Did you ever come to a combine? I honestly don't remember.
No, I did not.
No. So for anyone listening who doesn't know what I'm talking about, the way we used to get players on the Sharks is every year we would hold a combine. The combine's like our tryout, right? So we didn't have that by the time you came around.
Thank God.
Well, the real reason is what happened is I think it intimidated a lot of people.
So it did, yeah. So
Yeah.
that was actually one of the big reasons I didn't go, because I knew a few people from my gym who went. Obviously Serena being one of them, and I was just kind of I literally can't do handstand push-ups. I can't do a lot of these things, and yeah, it was intimidating. I was just I don't have time for this. I don't know what this is about.
Yeah, it's funny because the combine almost did the exact opposite of what we were trying to do. We were trying to show people kind of what happened with you. Derek had been talking to me about you and your individual skill set before you came. We were looking for people who could do things, not the best athletes, right? Because you guys know, I'm not the best athlete, but I'm really good at a couple things. Quentin on our team, he's not a CrossFitter in any way, but he can do a couple things better than anyone in the league. That's what we were trying to find. And what the combine was bringing in was CrossFitters who would do one of 2 things. They'd either be a little bit too intimidated, or they would get their feelings hurt when they found out that they weren't as good as pistols as they were another person was who couldn't clean as much as them, because the CrossFit mentality says I have to be really good at everything. And grit is the exact opposite. You could come to one of our tryouts and be good at 3 things, and we're done. You're on the team. Look at Mike, right? Syndrome, when he plays in this next match, he's going to be faster than anybody else in the league in handstand push-ups. And he maybe isn't our best thruster or our muscle upper, but he's gonna earn his weight there when he does it. Sure. Jenna, how did you end up getting on the team this year? Because I've been trying pretty hardly for about 4 seasons now.
Yes, yeah, totally. So so it's definitely something that I was thinking about last year, just with COVID and some personal things that happened. I was struggle street. I was struggling hard and kind of just looking to branch out and try different things, I guess. And so Serena was talking about at the gym, she was talking about just the little mini season, the mini match.
Yeah, the As One tournament we had last year, where we turned the entire season into a 2-day thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And we didn't participate in the second day because we weren't very good.
Okay. So I was oh man, I should have thought of that. And it was way too late. And it's COVID season. So it's a shit show. But so then it was on the back of my mind. And then, so I work with Alina.
Alina, for anyone who doesn't know, is one of the head marketing staff for the Florida Grid League.
Yeah, exactly. And she had kind of mentioned it at the beginning of this year. And then I think it was right when you were starting to sign players. Joanne used to work with us too. And so Joanne and Alina started a Slack group, through work. and Joanne was literally Jenna, why won't you play for the Sharks?
So pushy.
Yeah, not hey, you want to play? Because I literally was yeah, I'll play. I was yeah, I'll do it. I'm ready. So I kind of had prepped myself. I was ready to do it and branch out and ready to start this. No matter if I was going to suck or not, I didn't care. I just totally needed the feeling of a team thing and trying something new. So I was just ready to do it.
Yeah, I just want to say I tried to do exactly that for 4 years. Apparently Joan was able to get it in 10 minutes. That's some bullshit.
It's all about
about the approach.
Can't tell you how many texts I have from Jenna that are unread. Or to Jenna that are unread. Saying, hey, would you please play with us this year?
She's like,
Nah. Then I see her at a comp in like 2 weeks and she just pretended she didn't see those texts. It's fantastic.
I'm a really bad texter back.
That's what they all say.
So Val, you kind of already said your story, right? Like I just convinced you 3 days before it was signing time, right?
Yeah. So me going into it was kind of like opposite of Jenna. The team aspect of grid actually terrifies me. And it's something I'm like super uncomfortable with. And so going into it, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like that. And obviously I've gotten into it now and have just like realized that it's a whole new ball game and everyone carries their weight a little bit differently and it all comes together as like a really good unit, but I'd never had that on a team before. So I wasn't sure how that was going to play out or how, like, where my spot would be on the team and, like, how I would fit into, like, what the overall goal was. So that was super scary for me. And part of the reason I was, like, super hesitant to do it, I was just like, yeah, that many people depending on me is just not going to work for me. Because whenever I'm in anything, like, gymnastics or CrossFit or whatever, like, if I disappoint myself, like, no big deal, like work on what you have to work on and then like you go back and do it again next time or whatever. But whenever there is however many people are on our team, I don't even know, a bunch of other people depending on you and like watching you, cheering you on, you're like, shit, if I don't do this, like then it's like that's on me and that's my fault, and then it's letting everyone down, so it's a lot of pressure. I didn't know if I was ready for that.
Well, so first off, you are very obviously, but
Totally.
I think that's a really cool thing, right? Because a lot of our players over the years, we've had 5 seasons of this now, have been a mixture of like individual athletes and team athletes. And it's really cool to see which individual athletes can kind of switch to team athletes and which can't, you know? First year we had a girl who was a competitive skier, right?
interesting.
First match, she didn't start, quit the team that day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like she paid her fee to come on, like a uniform was made, she put in work. All that mattered, and I don't mean like she wasn't playing, like she wasn't starting. And you guys know that in grid, starting doesn't really mean anything. It's like an arbitrary term. You can not start the match and play more than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't a starter, quit, never answered a text again.
Wow.
Right, and like that was that like individual athlete mindset, you know, unwilling to make any change there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But then we'll have other individual athletes, like Q is a good one, you know. Q could have a great argument for yelling at me for not playing anymore, you know. But instead, he says, like, what does the team need from me? I'm in. Let's do this. I mean, I think really the person who implemented that the best year one was Derek, right? Like, Derek was one of the first 3 people signed to the team. He wasn't even, we didn't have a team really when he was already signed, you know? And he could have been like, I'm big dog. I get everything. Because we had players on the team that were like that. And he wasn't. If I took him out for some races he thought he was supposed to be in, you know, I gave him a real reason for it. I said, hey, bro, I think you'd be best here. I think this person would be better here. He was like, whatever the team needs. Yes. You know, and he was nowhere near the level of athlete he is now, but he was a lot stronger at the time than the average strength specialist in the league. So he had a very good argument for like, you should be playing me, you know, but instead he was like, whatever the team needs, I'm in, I got it. And that kind of set the tone for a lot of other players, you know, because especially that first 2 seasons before any of you guys were on the team, we had a couple players that were not that way, you know. They were like, I'm the best athlete. I should do everything. And that didn't lead to our success, you know? I know that for me, and you guys feel free to chime in, I like that feeling of like the pressure for the team that you're talking about. Like, I've been doing CrossFit for like 10 years. I do not care what my scores are. I don't care about a local competition, except for when I'm having fun with a friend of mine. Like, I'm just not getting up for that. You know, we do a workout in here, and if 40 of the guys beat me, like I don't go home and cry, you know? But in grid, I'm like, I'm going to beat that. I'm going to kick that dude's ass because like I got 17 other people in green, like relying on me, you know?
Yeah.
When I go out there for the muscle ups, I'm fully aware that I weigh 100 pounds more than the guy I'm competing against, you know? But I do know that like Francisco's getting ready to go flip a tire or something, and he's waiting on me to finish. And that drives me a whole lot more.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't care about it if it was me alone in a gym. How do you guys, how does that pressure for the team make you guys feel?
So I'm more like you. I'm like, and especially with grid, like what I've come to realize, just like after the first couple matches, is like most of the movements that I'm doing are my jam. Like where if I see these in a workout, like normally on any given day, I'm like, oh hell yes, like I'm about to murk on these, like I'm just gonna kill it because it's like wall balls or rowing or something like that. Obviously no rowing.
Tell people things.
Yeah, thankfully.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But so yeah, it's just kind of like, it kind of like gives you confidence. I mean, like you said, with CrossFit, like you kind of have to work on stuff that you suck at and it's just not always fun. But with grid, yeah, it's like, okay, like I am super good at wall balls. Like this is what I was chosen for. Like I know that like my team has confidence in me to finish them well. And it gives me confidence that like someone else is like, yeah, they trust me that I can do this. So it like amps me up more.
yeah, that's a cool feeling.
Yeah.
So Andrew, it's funny because it's kind of the opposite, right? Like I say, most of the players on the team get used for the things they're really good at. There's a couple of us, like you, me, Kevin, where it's like, man, we got to fill some holes here.
Yeah, I'm like a random grid player. Like I never do anything consistent. It's always different stuff. But to combine those things, it depends. Like I have major anxiety when we go out there. And like the day that you put me in for deadlifts, I'm like, I'm going to cry before I go out there. Like I have no confidence in myself that I can do these. Like my deadlift is a puny little thing that all these girls can probably power clean. Like this is not going to be good. And I'm going to look like such an idiot, but I did it. And then randomly I got put in for bar muscle ups, but I was okay there. But if I can get my anxiety under control, I am okay. Like for me, your last match, I'm fine. Like hanging power clean to jerks, great. I love those. I love cycling barbell, but I almost blacked out. I'm not even kidding you. I looked at Tarek and he looked at me and goes, water? I'm like, water. And I don't know. I was like, I think that is what I need, And Valerie just is staring like she doesn't really give a crap. And Serena's laughing at something. And I'm like, what? I'm going out there with these two people who's totally fine. And I'm like, I'm going to hit the floor immediately when I touch this barbell.
For the record, I feel like I'm actually going to throw up all over the start line, like before every single race. I've told a couple people that because they come over and they're like, "Are
That's
you
so
okay?"
funny.
And
That's so funny.
Joanne literally came over to me before one of the races in the last match and he was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, just like I'm gonna feel like I'm gonna throw up. It's fine."
The ringer from last match, I literally don't remember.
Yeah.
Like I blacked out. Like I have rope burns on my thumbs from literally just like sliding down the rope with my hands. I was like, I don't even remember what I did.
But you say you like that, right? You like loved like waiting for us to like watch you do it and cheer us on and win, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I get mixed
And
feelings.
like, I can do without it.
Because I've messed up a couple times and I remember that and then that sticks in my head. You know what I mean? Like the good times don't. The bad times always do. So I'm all over the place with that. I don't really have a good answer.
Yeah, that's really fun, I think, but for me as the coach to kind of see how everybody else handles that,
Yeah.
Because we've had like gamers, like Francisco. Francisco's a gamer, right? Like when the pressure's the highest, he performs the best for sure, and you can see it kind of in his preparation as he goes out there, Have you guys ever seen Q before he goes?
He's like walking around aimlessly. Is that right?
chill.
Is that a good answer? Because I feel like that's what I see.
No, right? Like that's 5 minutes before, but like a minute before he goes, Q turns into this little demon. He's like,
really?
he gets like an angry face on. He's walking around like flexing at the walls. It's wild. Yeah.
I am watching.
Right. Because 5 minutes beforehand, he's like making fart jokes. He's like, have you guys seen the newest Pokemon cards? And then like 5 minutes beforehand, he turns into like a little demon. And then that's why he kills everybody. Is because he like turns on this like killer mode,
Someone needs to teach me.
Yeah, it's just really cool to see the variations. Like I'm really happy that Grid League is doing that behind the scenes stuff now because we get to see that.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any like funny ones you guys have noticed about people?
Well, I mean, Francisco, that's a really great one.
Yeah.
Derek he doesn't talk to anybody.
At all.
He paces.
Yep.
And I think the last match, he just straight up was like, I'm worried. Like, I don't know about this. And I'm like, you've literally done this 5 billion times. If I'm not worried about anything of this right now, like you are it. Like this is what you're doing. Like you're not going to fail this at all. But I don't think so. Kevin is the most composed freaking person I've ever met in my entire freaking life.
Serena's pretty similar. She'll just be
She's
like
laughing.
on the sideline laughing. And she'll be like, oh, I'm ready to go. I'm like, okay.
I'm gonna go do a legless rope climb really quick. Oh, or roll set rope climb. I don't know.
The first couple of years that was really helpful. So Kevin, Serena, and I would be like making jokes on the sideline, and I'd see people like, with pants shitting face on, and they were like, I don't know what to do, and I'm like, all right, guys, we gotta go calm these people down, like, because the two of them don't get super anxious,
no,
at least not visibly,
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like you kind of bulldoze through people. All of a sudden, like you're not there, and then all of a sudden you're bulldozing, like yelling at people, cursing. Your veins are like popping out of your neck.
Well,
I mean,
there's a lot going on,
right? With not just us, but with you.
Let's unpack the race.
Man, you guys gotta I was talking to one of the other coaches about this. It'd be really fun to have some of the players coach a match, because the amount of things that go on.
I'm going to opt out of that.
It's pretty insane. I've had a couple players coach portions of it now, and like Rachel's done some, Francisco's helped out on a couple, Layla did when she was on the team for a couple. And like, it's a whole different experience, man. Cause you got to change your brain from what you're doing so fast, the league got that video of me like coaching you on on ladder, and then running back to the start line and then coming on to go on my turn.
Yeah.
With the coaching for me is really fun because like I like playing, that's fun, but the coaching is fun because like you're playing a chess game and it's changing in real time constantly, based on people's facial expressions, based on what they're able to do in the moment. This team that we have right now is pretty good about it, but we've had previous teams where it's like, yeah, I can definitely do 10 hang cleans, but they hadn't tried it leading up to it. And they didn't factor in the fact they did 6 races before that and their grip is shot and their legs are tired and they don't know what that feels like. And you have to kind of decide what's going to change as a person's going into their death zone, and you got 4 people on their knees back at the start line. You're like, which one of them is about to get sacrificed to come up here and help,
Sacrifice.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really fun for me. I struggle personally about like, do I want to play more or coach more, because those are both really fun, exciting things in very different ways,
Yeah, totally.
So we are 2 matches in, about halfway through this season 5, right? What have your guys' experiences been with the team this year, the season this year? Your thoughts on our match performance? And we can all say in the first match we sucked, like throw it at me. What do you guys think?
I love it.
Yeah.
Yes. Like love it. It was like, I'm just like such a big believer in like everything kind of like falls into place when it should. And this was like everything I needed at the time. Andrea mentioned our crazy group text.
Mm-hmm. My favorite.
It's like going on at all hours of the day, all day.
Do you guys remember when John and Charlie decided to have a 20-minute conversation about
like the lawn or something?
Yeah. They had a conversation about pool pumps.
Yeah.
It was just a
I
them conversation.
remember you specifically messaging back and going, I'm so glad this happened in the group
Yeah,
conversation.
so this is why we hate group chats.
Well, the worst part is that someone has an Android too. So like every time someone like
Kevin
laughs at a comment, you like get the actual text. But anyways,
That drives me crazy.
yeah, I love the group text. I literally just love it. It's like so entertaining. Like everyone is so hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, after the first match, we obviously like didn't get the result we wanted. We got beat pretty badly and everyone was kind of like boo-hoo about it. But I left and I was like amped up. I was like, this was amazing. Like this was so much fun. Like it's so fun, like feeling like you're good at something and feeling like you're helping like a bigger picture, like other than yourself. I mean, like I said, I grew up playing soccer, so team background. So just having that again, like other people to lean on, and yeah, just like support you and cheer you on to like while you're doing stuff that you're good at. It was so much fun. So I love it.
Yeah. What do you guys think?
I kind of like said my piece, earlier. Like I think this team is my personal favorite team. I think our personalities just really mesh well. And never once do I step near Jenna or Val or Serena, Kara, Rachel. No one makes me feel like crap ever. Like I don't feel stupid when I'm standing next to Jenna or you're like, hey, you're going to do ladder. Like, what? Okay, I could do a couple, but I know she's gonna clear it. And you're like, let's do it, and that's important to me because again, like I'm like that weird grid player that has a lot of random talents. You know, I'm a good CrossFitter, not the best grid player, even though I'm trying to get better at that. So just the way that everyone makes me feel, and just the camaraderie, like it's so laid back but intense at the same time is like the best way I can explain it. Because when we practice, everyone was like on it. You know what I mean? We were joking around, but when it's time to like actually do something, no one was like messing around, you know, which showed during our last match. And I think the last match just felt different than other matches. And I don't really know why. I don't know if it was, you know, everyone was like calm and collected and just went out there and did what we had to do at the speed we needed to do it. And it was just like,
yes,
I don't know.
Yeah.
It was just
it's like everyone knew what they needed
good.
to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was not, there was like no tension. And I don't know if that was because we practiced, but like, I don't know. I just love this year. It's been my favorite.
Yeah. Over the 5 seasons, when I think about our best matches, they weren't even necessarily all wins, but like our best performances, they all kind of have that in common. You know, it's like everybody knew what they were trying to do. They obviously nobody had like just blown off any of their responsibilities leading up, you know, because we've had that happen. Like we've won matches where we didn't actually perform very well. We just performed less badly than the team we were playing that day, you know. The matches when we that give me like the best feelings. And if you talk to the longer term players, I think all kind of stick out are ones like that, you know. I think our most exciting match ever was the one where we lost to Tampa in the conference finals, probably for the opposite reason, because we shit the bed in a lot of ways, but then overperformed like crazy in some other ways. But that I don't think about that like, oh, that's my favorite match. I think about that. I'm like, I want to go punch somebody. It was terrible, you know? But like, yeah, you're right. Like this match, everybody kind of did their roles. They knew what they were supposed to be doing. Nobody was like, what's my job again? What movement is out here? You know, everyone had their stuff practiced. We weren't getting faults.
I will say it helped having a really good practice beforehand too, with everyone there.
Well, and I think like this year, like coming from like, this is my 3rd year, like now that you're just talking about that, it kind of like driving my like thought, everyone on our team can do basically everything, right? So this year it's easier for me to tell you, okay, like I know what they can do. I've seen them. This is not, don't even think about me to do this. You know what I mean? Like, can I do 7 hang snatches 110? Yep. But should they go in? Yep. You know what I mean? Like, it was easier for me to realize, okay, this is what I'll probably be better at, you know, as opposed to before. I'm like, yeah, I can do all this. Like, send me in. But no, not really the case. So, and because, you know, we have a fallback plan, which before we didn't really have fallback plans. We had people that were really, really, really good at this and no one else, you know what I mean? Like the triple touches, the double touches. Now we probably have 5 people on the team that can do double touches or more?
Dude, 10. We have probably 10 people on the team who can do 15.
That was
that
wasn't not like that before.
Yeah.
So I think that fallback plan is also a security for all of us.
Yeah.
You know.
Val, how have you felt about the first 2 matches? Because you got used a lot in both, but they were very different matches.
I'm still processing them a lot.
Yeah.
I remember after the first match, we finished and I was so overwhelmed at like everything that just happened. And it all happened like so quickly. It was like within an hour. And I was like, we just did so much and it happened so fast. But I was like sitting there on the floor and everyone thought that I was like upset about how like the match went and everything. And I was like, no, it was actually really cool. I don't know what just happened.
My brain's not.
my brain's confused. And going into the first match for like 2 weeks before it, I was like anxious to the point of making myself sick and like could not train. I was like working myself up so bad about like certain things that you were expecting me to do. And I was like, I can't do those. And like, not once so far have you put me out for anything that I like couldn't do. And obviously you have a lot more faith in the things that I can do. And I don't, but that goes, I think, back to like my background a lot and like just not having a lot of, like, I don't trust myself a lot. So I trust other people to like make calls for me. And so after the first match, like going out and like doing things that I didn't think I could do, but like getting through them anyways, was a little more reassuring. And then going into the second match, it was pretty much all things that I was way more comfortable with. So leading up to that, I was definitely less nervous and less anxious and just like excited and like ready to go. I was like, let's do this. There's a lot of barbells and handstand walking for me that day. So those were like two of my favorite things. And I was like, got it, let's go. And so it's all been a super positive experience, just all in very different ways.
Yeah, cool. I mean, I think that's funny because you just said that that's all, it was like barbells and handstands, right?
Yeah.
And like, for those of you who don't know, you two and anyone listening, Val does have weaknesses. We just have a team at this point that like, those don't show, you know?
Yeah.
Like we have the opportunity, like you said, we finally have people who can do a lot of things, you know? I mean, like Mike and Fernando have barely played, man, and they would start on some other teams. Like they have skills that would be very, very, very useful. And in this doubleheader coming up, like they're going to show those, you know? We have people who can do far more, like you said, kind of across the spectrum than we used to have.
Yeah.
And what's cool too is we also have some specialists, right? Like we've gone through these waves on teams, right? So we go back to year one, we had CrossFitters, and that was it. Like just like AMRAPers, like that's what we had on our entire team. And then we had one kid his name was Kyle, obscenely strong, right? His movement patterns were really poor though, so he couldn't play because he couldn't perform at grid standard, you know, but he was one of the strongest dudes in the league. He was 16 years old, you know? But aside from him, right. Like, and then we had Shayla too. She was a gymnast for University of Florida.
Oh, nice.
Right. But we didn't really know how to use specialists yet. So she really never played, and that's not her fault in any way. There were just other things she couldn't do. And we needed, you know, like Serena to be out there instead when Shayla might've been faster, you know, but we had all CrossFitters but them. Right. And then as the years went on, we started adding some more specialists in. That's where we found Q. At his first season or two, Francisco was kind of a specialist as well. He was very specifically like one-armed things. He was just faster than everybody else at them. Then we've kind of like gone back to having a ton of utility players, but with specializations now, you know? Like I think that's one of the reasons like you're saying we're successful is we have people like Francisco, who's very much a utility player now because he was a strength specialist, but we can also throw him out there for ring muscle ups, you know?
Right.
You have Rachel who joined the team as a bodyweight specialist, and we can put her out there for most mirrors. Like, you know, we have players who can do all kinds of cool stuff like that. And I think that's really important. What have you guys noticed in your training? Like, how has it changed since you've been on the team?
I mean, I try and do a lot more grid specific things. And so like you said earlier, I've always kind of been grid adjacent, with just training with Serena. So like before the season, she would always do grid movements. Like we would be doing the same workout, and if something called for like chest bars, she would literally, and still does this, like she just did this the other day, sub double touches for chest bars. Like just so she's getting those reps and like so she knows that she's going to be good for it. So I've totally picked that up from her, just stolen that from her, or like just done something like some skill work before or after my like normal working out, I guess. And it's been totally fine. I mean, it's not like I'm like losing anything like CrossFit wise. Like it's still the same like concepts basically. So it's basically the same, just like a little bit more specific if I know that I'm potentially going to do something specific for the match.
What about you guys? Anything different?
Yeah.
I've definitely humbled myself a lot in training, because this was one thing I told you whenever you first like really wanted me to do grid and do the Sharks. I was like, you were like, you're so strong. And I was like, yeah, but I'm not fast. I was watching this stuff on YouTube and I was like, Nick, I don't move that fast.
I wish you had a video of showing her hand clean and jerks from the day that she fixed them right now.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm not fast.
When she changed her entire form in 5 minutes.
Yeah. Literally.
Yeah.
Cool. But yeah, so like that's been a super big adjustment for me, is like moving through things and trying to keep good movement patterns and like sticking to my roots of really like technical lifting also very quickly. So like just CrossFit in general has helped with that, but doing things in the way that you do things on the grid is a completely different ballgame. So I relearned a lot of movement patterns going into CrossFit, and now I've relearned a lot of movement patterns getting into grid, but it's given me an excuse to train twice a day without people like completely thinking I'm psychotic. So I'm here for that.
So mine's a little different because I'm a single mom, so I literally have an hour at the gym. So I do exactly what Serena does. I was just telling you, I did the same thing. I changed chest to bar to double touches. And I think the thing that's been different with me is I see all these women that are so much more stronger than I am and faster. And that's what I try to capitalize in CrossFit. So if you ever watch me at a CrossFit competition, I don't stop. I just go. And that's how like I do well. But I'm realizing like, so let me back up. Sorry, I'm like all over the place. So like for the strength thing, I've set a number in my head that I'm like, this is it. This is what I got. You know what I mean? And then I watch you power clean 205, you power clean 205. And I'm like, screw this, Andrea. Why don't you just like step up and try? These women, like I know you don't train like excess amount of time. You know what I mean? Like you're not just like a fitness person all day long, every day, like some people are. I'm like, I'm not built like you, but maybe I can add 5 more pounds if you just freaking try. These women are doing it. They have like the thought process that, you know, they go for it and they try. So that's kind of built like my self-confidence and gaining a lot of like strength. And then like the speed, like watching like Kara with her double touches, triple touches, you know, I'm like, you can speed things up. So my training's a little different and it's been different every year. So this 3rd year, it's just watching everyone wanting to get stronger and doing it within, you know, our normal CrossFit classes, stronger and faster. So mine's just been like a personal thing, you know?
I have to comment too. I think that is like one of my favorite things about grid also is that because you have so many people who are like specialists at like specific things, like I can literally go up to Q and be like, hey, can you help me with my muscle ups or whatever? Like I'm super struggling with those. Or like, hey, like Andrea said, like, wow, you can power clean 205. Like, how do you do that? Or like, can you give me some tips? Or I don't know, even just like something to aspire to, like watching someone move. I think that's super cool too.
I totally agree with that, right? Like before I started playing the year you joined the team, or was it the next year? I can't remember.
It was, the year.
So the previous years before that, man, like there's no chance I could have been on the grid. Not any chance at all. And just being around, say like Derek or Jake, right? Jake Dillick from Bloodline, copying some of their movement patterns and just getting to see the way they do things, right? Like I remember at the first 2 combines, Jake had like the state record for muscle ups, like the league record, not muscle ups, sorry, triple touches, right? And I remember like, I didn't tell him this, but I was like, I'm going to beat that dude. You know, like I want him to be successful because he's on our team. Like, but I'm going to chase that shit. I'm going to catch up to him, you know? And then 5 years later, we both have double that number. No problem, you know? But I wouldn't have ever had that if Jake hadn't been on this team.
Right.
And I hadn't watched him in practice and I wasn't like critiquing his movement and then being like, okay, I see what he's doing with his hands or his feet, you know? I stole my muscle ups from Serena, you know? I learned, I was like, oh, what's that thing she's doing?
I actually stole a lot from Serena.
Yeah.
It was kind of nice when I moved here. We had total opposite strengths. Like she would literally cry before any big set of wall balls or like running. And I'd be like, yeah, let's go. And then like before any gymnastics, I would be the one crying. So I would literally just sit there and watch her. Like I could not string together chest bars before I moved here. And I would just watch her move. So.
It makes such a big difference, right? I remember not being able to clean anywhere near what I can now. And then I watched Derek do his hang cleans, you know, and I was like, I've been doing these wrong for 6 years.
Yeah.
You know? And then what's also cool about that with grid is that like, I know you have been, I know you've been because I have too, but have you guys been faulted yet in anything?
Yeah.
Jenna, have you yet?
We'll just L-sit rope climbs.
Cool.
When I thought I could do them. But
yeah. You get faulted. You're like, I don't want that to happen again.
Yeah.
So
and it's pretty awkward.
Yeah.
You're like, oh.
And then you realize like, oh, my movement patterns aren't actually as good as I thought they were. You know? And like, if it hasn't happened a lot yet, it will. You realize like, I got to train different. Like I have to train well. I don't need to just get the best score in the gym. I need to stand up on my cleans.
Right.
I need to make sure I go below parallel on my wall balls. On my chest bars, I need to make sure that my chest touches the bar. Like, I remember that was one of the biggest things the year before you were on the team was like, I had probably been getting like good CrossFit scores and workouts, right? as had a lot of the people that were on the team. And we were getting kind of embarrassed in some matches because you'd see someone do a set of 20 pull-ups and have to do 37 to get 20, or a bunch of hang cleans and nobody stood up all the way. Like these are like really stupid little things, but that forced you to change that in your training, right? And then because you were moving more efficiently, all of a sudden you were getting stronger and you were getting faster. And then I'm noticing like at a local comp, when people I know had been beating me for years, I'm now beating significantly.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, maybe training well matters,
Right.
And if not for grit, I wouldn't have got that.
Yeah.
I can definitely right now remember one of the years at Bloodline Brawl, a couple teams that were usually 15 places ahead of me. And me and my partner just smoked them. And I remember what happened was there were giant sets of hang cleans. And up until that point, I don't know that I'd ever practiced like standing up before I went to the next one. I know that sounds dumb, but that's just like a thing you don't do in CrossFit classes. It's not just my gym. Go to any CrossFit gym. You're gonna find that.
Yeah.
And now like I'm doing sets of 15, no problem. And so is my partner. And that was because of the grid training,
Yeah.
I know that for me, probably my favorite thing about the team and the league is the camaraderie we get outside of the matches. Like the matches are fun, right? But like gyms in our area didn't used to talk to each other.
Yes.
Like I know that like Serena and I were friends a long time ago, and eventually I became friends with like Jake and Zach from Bloodline. But before that, gyms didn't like intermingle,
Right.
And ever since year one, I feel like we all have like 10 gyms we can go drop in at, and there's no problem now, right?
Yeah, well, it's super fun too because if you're doing a local comp, then you're competing against everyone basically who's on the team.
Mm-hmm.
And I am admittedly a little bit more of an introvert, like not the most social person. I've competed against like Andrea a million
She's
times.
terrifying.
Who's that? I just don't speak. Like we go and Serena's like, hey everybody, hey, and I just do not talk to anyone. So
That's so true.
So it's kind of fun, like actually getting to know everybody who I've always been competing against for the last like 5 years.
I literally I was talking to my friend the other day about you. I'm like, dude, you know how like so insanely scary she is? She is one of the nicest, funniest people like I've ever met. And like you would never get that, at the local comp. We're competing against each other. We don't know each other. And I'm kind of the same way. I'm not super social unless like I know you because I'm awkward. So I don't really want to, I don't want to start off like that. But like now that I got to know you, I'm like, oh my God, at the next competition, maybe I can calm down a little because I know her a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
totally.
it is cool.
It makes it more fun. Yeah, for sure.
I love that part. Every local comp we go to, I just feel like I'm hanging out with my friends. And there's like a lot of them now, not just the people that go to my gym. I feel like I can sit down in any tent and I've got people that I can hang out with there.
And now it's like, instead of like an intense, like I'm gonna break your neck. It's like more of like a fun, like, haha, we're friends, but I'm still gonna break your neck.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I like that part. Like John's gonna kick my ass in any comp we ever do, but you can bet I'm gonna go harder now if I'm in the same heat as him than I would have 3 or 4 years ago.
For sure,
It's so funny. This is like kind of random, but when we did Serena's comp kegs and kilos, we had a clean complex into a jerk. My boyfriend remembered your score, couldn't remember mine. I'm like, same, dude, I don't know either. But she was like 220, right? He's like, yeah, it was 215, I think. I'm like, yeah.
It always gets sketchy when you're using kilo plates anyways.
What are some of the favorite things you guys have done in grid so far? So like what are maybe some movements, some races we've done? What are some things you've liked learning?
You want me to go?
Okay.
All right. I obviously in our second match really liked Jack and Jill, the handstand walks, and then
That's one of my favorite races in the whole season. That's so much fun. Jack and Jill's my favorite race in general, but that one is my favorite.
Yeah, you killed that too.
And then sprint relay when I did the med ball handstand walk for that race, I really enjoyed. I really liked triad in the first match. That was the most painful race I've done.
It definitely is. Yeah, Jenna, you were in that one, right?
Yeah, it was so bad, but it was just like that pain cave like thing I think that I'm good at, and it's like you're like it's hard, but like it's gonna be over. It's like you just go until you can't anymore.
Triad is kind of like CrossFit, but with rules.
And I remember it wasn't supposed to be in everything in that, and I was. The day came, and they're like, you're going to be on everything at some point. And I was like, very cool.
Very cool.
Love that for me. And it wasn't even that. It was like I ended up doing giant sets of everything. Like I did all of the clusters by myself and then went into the handstand push-up. And then thankfully took me off the burpee box jump overs after like 3. I was like, I'm going to die.
I wanted to leave you there. But.
You should have. For sure.
And then went back out to do the shoulder to overhead. Then you were like, finish Serena's. I was like, okay. And then the handstand walk back, which normally I was like, yeah, I've done handstand walks and like under fatigue and whatever, but I was dead and literally fell on my head like 3 feet from the finish line. I was like, I can't. I'm done.
In the guys' version of that race, the male triad in that, I remember at one point Francisco and I looked at each other and we were just like, slow down. we were doing the handstands and we're the 2 largest people out there by far doing handstands. And I think we both could have done the 60 feet. But we're like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Like we're so far behind and this hurts a lot.
Yeah.
Let's slow this down a little bit, you know? Well, cool. Andrea, what about you?
So I think we'll start with my favorite race that I've done, or that I personally like is triad. Again, like I'm a good CrossFitter, so triad is usually just a lot of things that I can do well and quickly. But I had so much fun doing mirror. Like I've always wanted to be in mirror. I'm like, put me in for front squats.
You could have done it twice.
No, I don't think I could have.
Yeah,
That's just
that
you.
was not an option.
But I also enjoy Jack and Jill. I think those are so fun, unless it's handstand push-ups because you can count me out of that. But they're just, I love the waterfalls. We haven't really seen that in the past like couple matches.
Yeah, waterfalling is so cool.
And so one of my favorite moments was I all of a sudden got switched out from double touches to bar muscle ups so I could go do hang cleans. And I'd never done a waterfall and I wasn't ready to do bar muscle ups. So I went out there and my first up, me and Jake were up at the same time. Like that was not right, Andrea. And we got it right away after that. And that was so cool to like waterfall. And then you sit them out and I'm like, oh, I'm finishing these up. That's so awesome. You know, because I usually am watching people do that. But so that was really cool. And then obviously one of my favorite movements is hang cleans because it's just something I cycle quickly, even if it's heavy, which is a random, you just don't like think that I'm going to be okay at that. And I'm decent.
Yeah. Count me as a doubter because I didn't believe that until the tournament.
Yeah.
You know, like your body type shouldn't be good at that.
Yeah.
And you were so damn fast in that tournament.
So yeah, I'm not gonna lie that I didn't really think that you were that quick
That's
either.
okay.
And then the last practice when we had the
tryout.
Yeah, our like tryout for our like what did we call it? Lift off?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She cycled them so fast and I was like, holy shit. Wow. All right.
In the As One tournament,
up.
in the As One tournament last year when they were doing the live stream, there was an announcer and the announcer apparently only knew players from Miami's names and nobody else's. And I remember they go on the camera, they go to Andrea, she's doing hang cleans. They go to the other side, the girl on that team, I can't remember who it was, is doing hang cleans. Andrea's doing like 2-to-1 speed here. And the camera keeps flashing back and forth between the two of them. They keep being like, Miami player is doing great. And they'd go back to us and they'd be like, yeah. And I thought it was so funny because I was like, Andrea's going so fucking fast. She's going so fast, it makes no sense. And you didn't get any shine for that. But I wanted to make sure I gave it to you because I remember being like, oh my God.
Well, and then unpopular opinion, I freaking love those double kettlebell front squats.
Oh, that's a very unpopular.
That was also like
just you and Thor. That's it. Nobody else.
He was like, okay, you're going to do all 15. I'm like, let's go. And then you see these huge girls from the Aces like doing 7 and having to pass off. I'm like,
there was
one thing I'm good at.
So I practiced those every day probably for 3 months, right? Because I was like, man, I suck at squatting. I'm not really that strong. This is my nightmare, dude. Like, but the way our triad worked out that time, we were missing somebody. I can't remember who. It might have been Kevin. And I was in that one, like guaranteed, you know? And I'm practicing every single day. And I got to the point where I could do ring muscle ups, toes to bars, and that without passing out, right? And I was pretty scared, but I was like, I got it. I can do this. I do my muscle ups. I had to go clean up some for Newton. And then I walk over to my kettlebells and I'm like, fuck. Like, here we go. I bend over. Francisco shoves me out of the way, picks him up. And I was like, oh my God. I've never been pushed that hard. I'm a large dude. I don't get pushed very easily. He threw me aside.
I remember that.
And I was just like, oh, I love this guy so much.
I feel like there's a picture of that.
Yeah, it was like, like he didn't say anything to me, but he knew that I was like, he's a lot stronger than me, dude. That's not a secret. He just didn't ask. Poof, moved me out of the way. I moved up to the deadlifts, and I was like, yay, so much better.
Funny. Yeah.
Jenna, what about you? What are some favorite maybe like movements or races you've done or you're looking forward to?
I'd say like overall the last match was probably my favorite. It just had a lot of movements that I really liked in it. Like I mean, both the ringers, I would have been excited to do either one of them. So yeah, I like the rope climbs. I like wall balls and heavy cleans. Like Andrea, just like really weirdly good at cleans. So I really liked all the stuff that I did last match. I also just kind of like growing up more of a tomboy. I have this like weird brute strength. This like inner like angry
monster.
Yeah. This, like inner anger that I like need to get out. It may not be the prettiest, but it's like I will do everything in my power to like get it out. So I also love like being able to do these like weird odd object things and like with the dudes.
Yeah, right. Especially being out there kind of going against them.
Yes. Like I love like, being in on like the flipper and like being in on that heavy clean at the end. Like I love that so much where I'm like, oh yeah, like I can do the same weight as you. It's fine.
Well,
it makes me feel really like powerful.
We didn't really recap on this, but like I remember I told the league's like videographers, like you get a camera on Jenna for these cleans. Like this is gonna be cool as hell. And then I remember that mid-race, I kind of sabotaged you a little bit because I came down from the muscle ups faster than I originally planned on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, the game plan was 15 ring muscle ups.
Yeah.
I was going to do something like 10, and then Kara was going to come out and finish him up, right? What happened was I made a mistake. I misunderstood the time we had to make a substitution, and I was 2 seconds too late. So
okay.
we couldn't make one.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so Kara couldn't come back in, right? So I think the way we talked about it was like, I'm going to do 10, you finish up.
Yeah. But
then I'm on like muscle up 2, and I realized like, oh shit, if we do that, Jenna has to go right from muscle ups to cleans.
Yeah.
And we lose our advantage. So I did those, I think I did like 6 as fast as I possibly could, and then dropped down. I don't know if you could hear me. I was like, I'm done. Because you definitely looked at me all wide-eyed, like, what's happening? So shut up, get up there.
Yeah. Well, you also kicked the ball away, and then it just was not like securely in there. So I was like, these are just not going to be good.
Well, it was cool because it worked out perfectly.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of those really underutilized skills in grid, right? Is like adaptation, because there wasn't enough time for me to explain to you why we were doing it. We were doing it because we had to do it.
Right.
I was going to do a big set. You do a short set. I go again because I'm not getting 15, at least not fast.
Yeah.
We don't want to have me do a bunch, you do some, and then power clean.
Right.
And you just like shut up, did it. And because of that, we won that race.
Yeah.
Had we not done that, we lose that race.
Well, and luckily I love muscle ups too. So it worked out. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that's like that's really hard to explain. That's an intangible, right? And not every player has that. Serena's another one, right? Like I can just alter it mid rep for her. And we get, there's no like, oh man, why am I doing it? Just shut up and do it. And not just do it, but do it well, And you did that in race, real time. And I remember like, I'm doing the math in my head as we're going, and I'm like, all right, so if I can get like 6 here, she can get like 3 or 4, and then I'll finish up and we'll be okay. I'm like, but if she looks at me like she's brain dead, I don't know what to do with that, what happens next, Because you could have just been like, what?
Yeah, well, actually, because I had just finished the rope climbs, and so I was super tired, and you came over and told me, and then I kind of just like stood there like, all right, shit, like I'm ready. And then you were like, do you need your grips? Go get your grips. I was like, oh yeah, okay.
I want to make sure I don't miss that. That was super impressive because it was a risk, right, that I took in mid-race without any ability to communicate that with you, and you handled it perfectly. If I kept saying, as long as she gets 3, we're okay. And then you got 4, and I was like, we're fine. We're good.
It's a little touch and go for a second there.
Well, because I could only keep that pace I was moving up at for probably like 6 or 7 tops, So if I had to do 10 or 12, it would have changed up, and that was really good.
Yeah.
That was awesome. That was really, really fun.
Yeah.
I love that part of grid, and I almost don't know how to tell people about that part. It's like, we had a plan, you get smacked in the face, plan's got to change real time. You could just kind of like cry in the corner, but instead we make an adaptation and it works out really well. And I think you guys have heard me say this, that's why we did so much better in the second one than we did in the first match, right? It was like, in the first match, man, we were just like getting smacked and taking it and just being like, man, we suck. Like that was it. We weren't adapting. We weren't doing good things. In the second match, we had a couple hurdles, and we just said like, all right, we got them. We're good. Q getting super excited on the sleds. We could have lost that race. Instead, Serena stepped in. She fixed his situation. I might have slapped the hell out of him. Like we moved forward good. we adapted really, really well to that, whereas that could have been a lost race right there.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the ringer? Want to give me a little insight as to how that went?
Okay.
Yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about, the ringer is a new thing the league's doing this year, where in each match, you basically throw a gladiator out there and they go against the other team's best person in a thing. In a movement type, right? So like one team chooses the one they think they're most likely to win. The other team chooses one they're most likely to win. And then you put your best players out there one-on-one, no team. It's kind of against the team aspect, but it is like kind of a star making thing, And we had chosen rope climbs, so 4 rope climbs for time. The other team had chosen a farmer carries at 4,000 pounds, I think. And I was confident. I think you were confident too. Like whatever we put you on, you were going to win.
Yeah.
We were going to win that. I felt confident about it. I was like, you're going to win. Either the rope climbs or the farmer carry. And then it was kind of like the other one. We just got to see what happens. Right? Why do we go with rope climbs?
So we were going to do Q on rope climbs first. But the girls had a height advantage. So what was it? 12 feet instead of 15?
The girls had to go to 12 feet. The guys had to go to 15 feet.
Yeah, totally. So when I practiced them, I was getting them in like one pull for like the majority, like 3 of them. And then the last one would be like 2 pulls. So, I mean, I'm super long. I'm like 5'10". So yeah, it was just a little bit easier for me, I guess, with the height advantage. And then it was literally like down to the last second. I think it was like right before, right? And we were like, which one are we going to do? I don't know.
Yeah, we were literally going back and forth with it, I think 4 minutes before the match. And it was like, all right, man, here we go. Like, I think I asked you, like, which one do you feel most confident about? You said rope climbs. I was like,
I know I did. I said the opposite.
Oh, you're right. You said farmer carry. That's right.
I said the farmer's carry. Because I mean, I just love like a good brute strength type of thing. And rope climbs is a lot more technical. So I was like, oh man, I'm totally going to like mess my feet up on this, which I did many times. But yeah, I just think the height advantage was like the ultimate.
Yeah, it was almost too much to give up,
Yeah.
Q is fast. Joan's fast, right?
Yeah.
But like 3 feet is a full pull.
For sure. Yeah. So yeah. And then Nick stepped in on the farmer's carry, and that was crazy too.
That was cool because I could say this on camera. I was sacrificing myself there. We were trying to make a decision
between you and Mike.
Yeah, we're literally like, how do we not use one of our stronger guys for this, right? But how do we not risk it being such a distance that we lose 2 points, And Mike and I picked up the farmer carry a couple times. Chris, that's a coach of Tampa. I don't know if you're going to hear this. We purposely didn't put me near the farmer carry at any point. We had Derek and John and Francisco picking it up so that they thought a stronger guy was going to do it because we didn't want him to throw the bonus flag on.
That's why they laughed when they saw you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
Yeah.
That's smart.
I don't know if anyone else saw this. You had me go back with you to like the farmer's carries that were back there before, and he was like, I just want to see if you can pick this up. And he's like, I don't know if this is the men's weight or the women's weight. And I picked it up and I was like, that's totally the men's weight. And it came out and I was like, that was totally the women's weight.
Yeah.
I was like,
The women's weight was heavy.
Well, because she picked it up, right? And then I picked it up and I was like, Jesus.
I was like, I don't know if I can go anywhere with this.
It's funny because I had the exact same thought, and that was the girls' weight. Yeah, but
I mean, same when I practiced it. It was so heavy.
Yeah.
Like I kept telling Serena, I was like, "There's no way I'm doing this one."
I grabbed up our 3 strongest guys. I said, "Guys, you 3 have to be going to this farmer carry. Like we have to make it look like it's you guys, because if they realize it's me, they're going to throw the bonus flag. Because Ricky is really strong.
Yeah.
And obviously that didn't help him, but
Yeah.
if they had thrown that bonus flag, even though it would have helped us, I think that most of us can honestly say I probably shouldn't have won that. That could have been a really bad situation for us, and I think we gamed them a little bit there. I was pretty proud of that.
Well, it was so crazy too because I stalked Tampa's page and found the girl on their team who can deadlift like 450, and I was like, oh, she's for sure doing the farmer's carry. Like I was nervous. I was like, Nick, she's gonna do it. She's gonna kill it. Like she's gonna pick this up like handbags, and she was the one who rope climbed against
you.
So,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That was the same person?
Yeah.
Tried to use the height advantage, but I mean,
Yeah.
we win that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, that was cool. That was super fun. I would say that I wasn't for the ringer points originally before the season started, but I mean, they've been pretty exciting so far.
I love them.
Yeah.
I love watching them.
Yeah.
I think they're awesome.
I think they're fun too. Yeah.
Even the first two, like when we lost them in the first match, I mean, Francisco lost by one hand slip, literally
Right.
one hand slip,
Yeah.
and then Serena did an extra rep, and that's why she lost.
I
right?
know. Yeah,
So-
so crazy. And it's so fun too, especially because, I mean, like Serena's one, she was laughing. She's like, they'll never put me on burpees. Like, we were practicing it, joking around, and then Nick's like, you're going,
You're gonna do
Serena. But she did so well.
Yeah.
So I told her, I was like, she's never allowed to think that she's bad at burpees.
I put her on like year 1 and year 2 when she said she was bad at burpees too, and she was like top 5 in the league.
Yeah, totally.
There's nothing Serena's bad at. So, but I know that. I don't know about you. I'm personally glad I don't have to do that again.
Yeah, it's a little more chill.
Yeah.
It was definitely like my heart was going to explode out my chest.
Yeah, like I wasn't nervous about it, but I do love the idea that I don't have to go into another match, possibly doing one. Like it's
Yeah.
just nice to know that that's not on my shoulders.
Well, I
Yeah.
think you were probably not nervous because you're like, screw it. Like, I'm sacrificing myself. I'm going to lose. Whereas you were like, you have to win.
Right.
We know you're going to win. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Yeah,
This guy carrying the stuff down the thing.
Yeah, totally.
That was hard. That was super challenging.
But I can't.
You did well though.
Yeah.
Yeah, just kept moving.
Well, I texted one of the other coaches from the South Conference, and I was like, yeah, he was telling me his players' times, and I'm like, yeah, don't worry, they're going to be a lot faster than mine. And we were like laughing back and forth, and he asked me to send him the video, and he's like, you beat both of my strength specialists. I was like,
Yeah.
oh.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
that's good. You did well at it. Like,
Oh,
you just gotta
man.
keep moving your feet.
That one right there. That was like experience from the Army, just moving with
Right.
weight under load,
Yes.
A lot of people will kind of take off at a run, and you just can't do that, man. You just got to baby step it the whole way.
Yeah.
March,
Yeah.
Unless you play us, in which case you should run. Um, dude, I was like, was pretty sure something had happened on the other side as I was going, but I was so scared that if I turned my head to look, I would
You'd
fall
fall.
myself.
Yeah.
So I was just like, we're doing it. Let's go.
Yeah, that was good. Paul.
Do you guys have any other stories? Anything else you want to bring up? Any other questions you want to ask each other? Anything you want to maybe get into before we finish up? This episode of the Shark Bite Show is sponsored by Rebuilt Meals. Natural and healthy, prepared meals delivered right to your door. I get them delivered to my house, so do a bunch of our coaches and members. They show up at your house every Tuesday. You get the meals you wanted. You throw them in the microwave. They taste fantastic. You don't have to waste all your time cooking, trying to come up with what you're going to eat each day. If you want to use it, go ahead and use Sharks15 as your discount code. So rebuiltmeals.com. Use code Sharks15. Enjoy. How are you guys quiet for the first time? What's going on?
I was looking at Andrea. She has the good ideas.
But I don't have any good ideas ever. I do feel like I have some. Like there's like something in my brain. There's lots of words swirling in my head, but I cannot. It's not like stopping.
Words are hard.
That's 80.
It's like a roulette. Yeah, it's like a roulette. The ball's just spinning, but it's not landing on a number.
Yeah.
So I'm sure if you would have asked me like 5 minutes, I'd be like, yeah, that. But no.
Well, cool. I mean, we have a practice coming up. We have a double header on August 14th.
I'm
right?
so freaking excited about
Yeah,
that.
that's gonna be super fun. I mean, that decides whether we go to the playoffs or not. Is that double header? So we gotta show up and perform well.
Show up and
Those
blow up.
matches are so fun.
What?
I said show up and blow up.
We got hopefully blow up in a good way, not in the way we did the first match.
Well, I've just like often been thinking about it. I'm like, I'm dead after one match. And they'll be like, go have lunch and come back and do it again. I'm like, what?
Will there be time for lunch in between? That's the question.
Athletes show up, man. That's how it works.
Yeah.
I can tell you there's going to be teams and players who use that as their excuse for why they didn't perform well, and I'm not going to be one of them. So
Losers.
yeah.
That's the one thing Val said on her own. Unprompted.
Nice.
Do you guys have anything you want to plug? I definitely want to get your designs out there, Jenna. How could somebody? So Jenna's a graphic designer. She said she's making some really, really cool things for the Sharks this year. She's helping Kelly and I out with all of our social media. What if somebody wanted to get some graphic design work from you, how would they do that?
Yeah, I would say you can email me. That's the best way. So my email is jriddesigns@gmail.com. That's JRID designs. It's like an old nickname. And then you can also find some of my stuff on Instagram, at the same @jriddesigns. A lot of that stuff is a lot more like illustrative that I post on Instagram though. And I guess a lot of the work that I'm doing for the Sharks is a lot more graphic design. So a lot of the players have just been posting stuff like that. So yeah.
Cool.
And then my regular if you want to follow me, is Jenna Riddle, Jenna Riddle, like the joke, and then an underscore. Do not forget that.
There's no jokes here though.
Yeah.
No jokes, follow me.
Val, Andrea, how do we find you guys?
Instagram, Valerie_Gunning. Should I spell that?
No.
I think it's pretty straightforward.
I'll put it in the notes.
Okay.
And then mine's embarrassing, but it's famous AG.
You are famous.
I'm not, but I can be if you help me with that logo.
Oh, okay. I got you. Yeah. I got you.
So yeah.
Yeah, guys, anyone listening to this, our players are always looking for sponsorships. They can help promote whatever you're trying to do. Yeah, seriously.
Send the food.
Guys, this has been super fun. I hope you've had a good time.
It was awesome.
We're gonna finish up, and again, I'm gonna go ahead and apologize for the first 10 minutes or so. How they don't sound very good. Yeah, come see us on August 14th. Thanks.
See ya.
All right, thanks for hanging out with us today on the Shark Bite Show. If you'd like to get a hold of us, you can find us on Facebook or Instagram at Shark Bite Fitness and Nutrition, or on our website at sharkbitefitness.com. If you'd like to find out more about our guests, their information will be in the show notes. If you'd like to talk to us about getting more fit, feel free to schedule a free no sweat intro at one of our locations in Cape Coral, Fort Myers, or Naples, Florida.